How to make sexually charged small talk so effortless it's hard to end the conversation. Imagine being able to talk to someone attractive without overthinking. Make the conversation feel playful without being childish. Create sexual tension without being crude, and leave them wanting the exchange to continue instead of politely drifting away. That's what sexually charged small talk can do when it's effortless. This video gives you the steps to build that feeling naturally, and the final point shows the moment where you'll know the attraction is coming back toward you. 1. Stop trying to sound interesting. Have you ever noticed how hard a conversation becomes the second you start performing? Most people treat small talk like an audition. They think they need a clever opinion, a sharp joke, or a story that proves they're exciting. So they scan their brain for something impressive, while the other person is standing right in front of them. Here's the thing. Attraction doesn't grow because you sound perfectly polished. It grows because your nervous system gives the other person permission to relax. Social psychology calls this interactional synchrony, the subtle matching of pace, expression, breath, and emotional tone that makes two people feel naturally in rhythm. If you're trying to impress, your attention is inside yourself. If you're trying to connect, your attention is on them. That difference is felt immediately. Your face softens, your replies land cleaner, your timing stops rushing. Even your voice changes because you stop pushing for approval and start responding to the person in front of you. And sexually, this matters more than people admit, because desire rarely starts with a dramatic confession. It starts when someone feels, I don't have to defend myself around this person. That's the first layer of real tension. Not pressure. Safety with a spark. 2. Make the first question easy to answer. Does your opening question make someone feel invited, or does it make them feel interviewed? A lot of people accidentally begin with questions that are too wide, too heavy, or too generic. What do you do? Can work, but it often makes the other person reach for their public identity instead of their actual mood. Tell me about yourself? Sounds open, but it can feel like homework. Here's what most people don't realize. The best small talk question gives someone a small, specific doorway. Behavioral science calls this cognitive ease, the feeling that a response doesn't require too much mental effort. Ask something tied to the moment. What made you choose that drink? Is this your kind of place, or did someone drag you here? What's the best thing that happened to you today, even if it's tiny? These questions are low pressure, but they carry personality. They also give the other person a choice. Stay light, become funny, or open a slightly more personal door. That choice is attractive because it protects consent inside the conversation itself. They let someone answer lightly, then reveal more if they want to. That's where flirtation starts. Not from demanding intimacy, but from giving someone a comfortable place to step closer. When the first answer feels easy, the second answer becomes more honest. 3. Turn answers into doors, not dead ends. Ever had someone answer you, and you immediately panicked because you didn't know what to say next? That moment kills a lot of attraction. Not because the answer was boring, but because the listener treated it like a completed task. They asked. The person answered. Then they jumped to a new question like a nervous game show host. Here's something that might surprise you. Almost every answer contains a door. In conversation analysis, these are called expansion points, little pieces of information that invite the next layer. If someone says they moved to the city last year, the door isn't just the city. It's change, risk, loneliness, excitement, reinvention. You can say, so are you still in the exploring phase, or have you become suspiciously local already? Now there's play. If they mention a trip, ask what kind of version of themselves shows up when they travel. Now there's depth. Sexually charged conversation doesn't jump straight into sexual topics. It builds aliveness. It lets someone feel that you're not just collecting facts. You're noticing the energy underneath them. That's when small talk starts feeling personal without becoming invasive. If this is making sense, comment noticed. Let's see who actually listens for the detail underneath the words. 4. Use playful tension before serious intimacy. Have you ever gone too deep too fast and felt the energy disappear? It's a common mistake. Someone seems attractive, the conversation feels promising, and suddenly you're trying to create intimacy by discussing trauma, heartbreak, attachment style, or your entire emotional history. Depth is powerful, but timing controls whether it feels seductive or heavy. Think about that for a second. Flirtation needs contrast. The brain responds strongly to uncertainty, anticipation, and reward, which is why dopamine rises when something feels possible, but not guaranteed. Playful tension gives that possibility a shape. It says, I like this energy, but I'm not collapsing into you. Tease their dramatic coffee order. Challenge their claim that they make the best playlist. Smile and say, You seem like trouble, but in a well-organized way. The point isn't to insult, it's to create a spark that both people can safely play with. The safest tease is about taste, timing, habits, or playful confidence, not someone's body, identity, insecurity, or boundaries. That distinction keeps the sexual charge clean instead of careless. Sexual chemistry often grows from this exact rhythm: warmth, then edge, interest, then restraint, openness, then a tiny bit of mystery. When you bring playful tension first, serious intimacy has somewhere to land. Without it, depth can feel like emotional pressure wearing a romantic outfit. Let me know if this is hitting home. Drop the word spark below if you've ever felt a conversation shift from polite to charged without anyone saying it directly. 5. Let silence do some of the flirting. Does every pause make you rush to fill the space? That instinct is normal. Silence can feel like failure when you're nervous, especially with someone you find attractive. So people talk faster, ask too many questions, explain jokes after making them, or laugh before the other person has even reacted. That's not confidence. That's anxiety leaking into the room. Human communication runs on more than words. Researchers studying nonverbal behavior point to eye contact, microexpressions, vocal tone, and response latency as signals that shape attraction before either person names it. A pause lets those signals breathe. After they say something interesting, don't immediately grab the wheel. Hold eye contact for a beat. Smile like you actually heard them. Then say, "I like how your mind works." That sentence lands because the pause prepared it. In sexual tension, timing is everything. A rushed compliment feels like a tactic. A well-timed compliment feels like recognition. Silence also shows that you're not frightened by the electricity in the room. You can let it exist without trying to explain it, manage it, or turn it into a performance. That kind of calm makes the other person feel your interest more clearly. 6. Make the conversation about the two of you. Ever notice how the best conversations start creating a tiny private world? At first, you're talking about ordinary things: the music, the food, the room, the people nearby, the weather you both complained about 2 minutes ago. But then something shifts. A phrase comes back, a joke repeats, a look becomes part of the language. That's not random. That's pair bonding in miniature. Social psychology calls this shared reality, the sense that two people are experiencing and interpreting the same moment together. This is why callbacks are so powerful. If they joked about being terrible at choosing restaurants, bring it back later. "I'm still deciding whether I trust your restaurant judgment." If they said they're always early, say, "So punctuality is part of your brand." These little callbacks create a feeling of us before anything has been defined. They also make the other person feel remembered in real time, which is far more intimate than a generic compliment. You're not saying, "You're attractive," and leaving it there. You're saying, through attention, "I'm paying attention to the specific way you move through the world." And sexually, that private world matters because desire loves exclusivity, not possessiveness, not pressure, just the feeling that something is happening here that isn't happening with everyone else. When you make the conversation about the two of you, small talk stops being a surface exchange. It becomes a shared current. The room stays the same, but suddenly it feels like there's a corner of it only you both can enter. And if this kind of conversation is what you want more of, like and subscribe. This channel is for people who don't just want attention, but want to understand attraction, intimacy, and connection with more honesty than most people ever bring to dating. 7. Exit before the energy begs for rescue. Have you ever stayed in a conversation just a little too long because you were afraid leaving would ruin the connection? Most people do. They keep talking until the laughter thins, the questions get practical, and the spark has to work harder than it should. Here's the thing. A strong exit can be more attractive than another 10 minutes of safe conversation. Memory is shaped by peaks and endings, a principle often called the peak-end rule. If you leave while the energy is still alive, the other person remembers the charge, not the slow fade. Say, "I'm going to let you get back to your night, but I'm really glad we started talking." Then pause. Let them respond. If they want the conversation to continue, they'll usually make it easy. They'll ask where you're going, offer their number, suggest another drink, or reopen a topic. Don't punish the moment by demanding proof. Just notice whether they invest. That's the quiet moment from the beginning. When the conversation could end, they help keep it alive. That's mutual attraction showing itself without needing to be forced. 8. Notice when they start investing back. What does it mean when the other person begins helping the conversation continue? It means you're no longer carrying the interaction alone. They ask follow-up questions. They turn their body back toward you. They add details you didn't request. That's reciprocal investment, and it's the clearest sign that small talk has become shared momentum. Don't overplay it. Just meet it. When someone gives you more, slow down, receive it, and give a little more back. The conversation becomes hard to end because it stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like appetite. For more advice, subscribe.